this paper, I would like to talk about a tribe which is no more exist in Northeast now. And even people also don't remember about them except the word Siami. And when we started our field work, we tried to relocate those jars, was first mentioned by Mills and Hutton in 1932. Our first aim was to just relocate those jars, but then when we went to field and we tried to relate the material evidence and the oral tradition, because in Northeast, all the ethnic tribes, they remember their ancestral heritage. So that's why we tried to relate, but no of the tribes, ethnic groups in Northeast, in their memory about this, nothing is available. So then, before I go in details about those, I will just give a little background about our research. See, Northeast India is always amplified in archaeological literature that it is a potential area to understand cultural migration, human migration, etc., etc. But in reality, there are very little fieldwork to understand the ethnic construction and cultural migration and cultural diversity in the region. So, but there are some recent reviews. Those reviews are also devoid of any field work in the region, but they are still basing their research on the publication by Britishers and giving their romantic idea about how this region is very important for understanding human and cultural migration. So, in fact, the prehistory of this region was limelighted by this Sir Lubbock in 1863 when he reported a finding of a jadeite silt. After that, many British officials, they reported many of the sites from Northeast, mainly silt discovery, then habitation deposits, megalithic remains, but those literature are still lying in the library or maybe in the bookshelf. Nobody is reviewing those or nobody is making any attempt to revisit those sites. But luckily, now in Northeast, all of the states are having their own central university. And these universities are having their own department called History and Archaeology, and we are now initiating to relocate those sites reported by Britishers and whatever during the pre-independent time. Because those sites, if vanished, we are going to lose some very important archaeological evidences to understand the ethnic construction of the region and also the cultural diversity in the region. And at present, Northeast is suffering problem because of ethnic politics, linguistic politics, and if we want to resolve this kind of problems, we have to go back those archaeological evidences reported by British officials during the pre-independent period. So now our main aim this was the paper published by Mills and Hutton in 1932. They were mentioning about some of the monolithic jars in North Kasar district. But this paper, whoever does PhD on prehistory of Northeast India, this paper get reference. But problem is that they refer this paper not for the theme of the paper. They refer this paper because they have mentioned finding of silt. So all those prehistorians, they are important. They're focusing only on the silt, but not the main theme of this main jars. So this Mills and Hutton says that these jars were probably used as an ancestral repository of bone. They're saying they also didn't claim that this belongs to a particular group, either Nagas, Khasis, or Jaintias, whoever. They didn't claim, but they say that probably this indicates some kind of repository for ancestral bone repository. So now, after 80 years of reporting of these jars, so we wanted to revisit and we want to restudy what these exactly are. So now the location of the site, here it is North Kasar and surrounded by Nagaland here, Manipur here, and Myanmar here. So why I am showing this slides? Because this is, geographical location of North Kasar give an indication of a migration of a particular language-speaking group, that is Mon Khmer language-speaking group, that is Khasi. So before I go to in details, I would like to tell you our working hypothesis. What we believed initially before we went to field work is that probably a group of Mon Khmer-speaking people, they entered through Myanmar, through maybe Manipur and Nagaland. Then they settled in North Kasar for longer time, And then because of maybe some ethnic classes, which Tibetan speaking people, they moved towards Meghalaya. And now at present, Austroasiatic speaking people are only there in Meghalaya, nowhere, no other states in Northeast. So now these are the photographs given by Mills and Hutton. This is the site called Bolasan. This is also Bolasan. Here they have reported 400 jars. This is Kartong and this is Dibra. Now you can see after visiting a site after 80 years also gives some kind of indication how geography, how the vegetation change, how human agencies affect in modifying the sites, and how we have to understand the whole formation process of the sites before we deriving any conclusion about those. So now these are the locations of the site we visited. See, all of the sites are located around, say, around 1,200 meters above the sea level, except the site called Dumungling. So these are the name now we have given. When Mills and Hutton said this name was Dibra, but now this area is occupied by the Dimasa Kosari, and now they have given the name Dibra. Within the occupation of new ethnic group, sites area names also changing. So this is also very important to note when we go to the fieldwork in Northeast. No sites, no area name is permanent there. When an ethnic group occupy an area, they give their own name. So now, when Mills and Hutton, they have recorded 400 burials in Bolasan, but in our survey in 2014 May, we could locate only 180. Because during that time itself, Mills and Hutton's time itself, Bolasan was selected for the Jum cultivation. And during that only, they have destroyed Jeminagas, they have destroyed many of the jars, and still the process is going on. And now, but at Bolasan, there is no more Jum cultivation is there, but abandon of Jul cultivation is having another effect on this archaeological remains. Now trees are growing very big, and because of that also these jars are getting destroyed. Molongpa they didn't mention, but we could count only 21, and like this, this is just to say the variability like 80 years back or now. Before I say the classification about those jars, please, I just want to show that what kind of condition these jars are lying in those areas now. They are inside the very thick vegetations, very difficult to go without having some instrument to clean those areas. So now you can see the distribution of jars at Bolasans. They extend from the hilltop to hill slope, but they are not till the foothill. They started from full hilltop, then slowly they are going to the hill slopes. And these are from the Kartong. Now here also say the government policy also destroy archaeological times. Government of Assam, Soil Conservation Department, they have planted pine trees, and they did not consider our archaeological material seriously, and because of that, most of the archaeological materials of here got destroyed. You can see the distribution pattern of jars in Molongpuram, like this in Kobak, and again jars and the outcrops. Okay, see how difficult to locate those jars. Anyway, so I will discuss in brief about the main typology of these jars. Main is bicon shape. This is more than around 150 centimeter. And this having a hollow where they can keep something, most probably the bones, repository bones of the ancestors. Like then we have bicon. This is, we do not have much number, but we have this other one in much number in Bolasan. Then the barrel shape we have only in 2 sites, not in all other sites. And this one is we are having in Kobak and Bolasans. So then barrel shape, and then this was as big as that a live man can go inside to these jars. And also we have some engravings. So it is also very difficult to relate those engravings with any ethnic groups, because Midun head is also engraved by Nagas, Khasis, and Adis. So directly we cannot relate that which community it belongs. Like this. And along with these stone jars at Bolasan and at Dibra, that was not mentioned by Mills and Hutton, we could locate an area of having circular stones around half meter in diameter, very flat surface, very polished surface. Over those surface of those stones having different kind of engraving. You can see this area is full of this kind of circular stones. Over that, this kind of engravings are there. And this is the drawing. And the interesting thing is that all these stones having similar engravings, not difference. In center, you will see this one, and then these patterns. There is no difference in those. All are same. And then at Bolasan, we could find human face. Those are not there in Dibra. And along with these engraved localities and jars, we could also locate a habitation deposit. But at present, we are not claiming that these habitation deposits belong to the jars, because we need some excavation work, and we have applied for excavation this year. So we get permission, then we'll go and correlate those both. Because if jars are there, there has to be some human being, and if there was some human being, they were settling somewhere. So we have to find that out in next session. So these are the close view of this habitation deposits. And raw material, these jars are made of sandstones. In North Kasar, in fact in whole Northeast, you will find majority of sandstone everywhere. So these are made by the sandstones, and interestingly, at most of the sites, very close to the jars, we have these natural outcrops. So at present, we believe that probably they selected those areas where raw material is available immediately. It is not probably that they have made it somewhere and carried somewhere else to place it. Probably they have selected the area where raw material is available, then they have made this thing. This one is unfinished jars at Kobak. Then technology, obviously, the question arises now that they use some kind of metal, and whether it is iron or copper, but we do not know. But again, we have a hypothesis for this, because this kind of jars are available in Laos, Indonesia, and Philippines. In Laos, Magdalena Kolani has did extensive work in there, and she is suggesting that these people who made this jar, they were Mon Khmer people, and they knew the knowledge of iron. And she has dated it to 700 BC. And again, the Japanese archaeologist called Iji Nita, he also excavated recently in 2004, and he is also giving the same theory, but he pushed back the date to the 1000 BC. Now, question is that if we see the present location of Mon Khmer people in Meghalaya, and if we see the distribution of these jars from through Laos to Myanmar to North Kasar to Meghalaya, in fact, we also reported some this kind of stone jars in Meghalaya. We are going to visit this time. So this shows a pattern of migration. So if we take this theory, then knowledge of iron to Northeast came with this Mon Khmer people through the Southeast Asia. Now memory, what is the memory? So we asked the local people, what memory you have regarding these jars? They say that, first they said that this doesn't belong to our ancestor. Then they will say that this was made by a small people, white-looking small people who are known as a Siami. And they say that they were master of making deomani. Deomani is a kind of glass bead that is also nowadays it is also called as a tile bead. Because they used to find beads inside the jars, these Zeminagas and Kasaris.
Dr. Thakuria,
That is why
you will have to wind it up in 2 minutes.
Sure, of course. So then this says that, but at present, and these people, see, I will not go in details about those theoretical things, but so these are the beads. They used to collect, and they are still wearing those beads, these Zeminagas. They never make those beads, but they have collected those beads from the jars itself. Okay, so before that, I want to just show this thing about what we think at present. So we have to prove this for further archaeological research in the region. For hopefully this year, we can do more work, and there are many oral traditions we are trying to correlate with these physical evidences. So probably we are hopeful that at least we'll find out some kind of clues about the Mon Khmer, about the jars, about the burial practice, or who are the Siamese. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any question?
Notice that the paper you consider to be the most important one by Mill, which everybody quotes, at the bottom it was sponsored by the Baptist Church. Okay. Now,
sorry, sir, I didn't get it.
if you go to the early slide, the first slide where you have that paper by Mill,
Yes, sir.
it was sponsored by the Baptist Church.
Yeah.
It is the bottom. Now, Baptist Church has a political agenda.
Okay.
You know that. It is not just doing it just for fun to expand knowledge, but they are looking for certain things, then interpreting them in a certain way, then connecting the dots to reach a certain conclusion. So archaeology feeds history, and the history of a people determines their sense of identity. Who am I? Who was my enemy? Who was my friend? Were those people really my enemies, friends, and all that? So then it has got a modern application for votes and politics. So archaeology has got a political thing. Now, ideally archaeology should be very objective and very scientific, free from political lens. And history should then be based also very objectively and truthfully. But unfortunately, the practical reality is that the flow of influence is reverse. First comes politics, and then they have scholars who go looking for things to fit that social theory. So you can have a social theory of fragmentation, separatism. You can create that your style was very different, your religion was very different, you came from somewhere else, it was not connected with the rest of the Indians. And one can do that.
Right.
And that is known to have happened, like you see wherever the Baptists are big, not only in Northeast India, but in South America, wherever they started separatist movements. Separatist movements are going to go along with Baptist and certain other persons. So I don't know enough, but you are the expert, so I want to ask you, to what extent is the study of these things done with a particular point of view, and what is being done now to counter the 150 years, 200 years of old baggage when all the British, you are saying we have to go back and read what the British wrote. British wrote all the Bible for us, and we have to read that and interpret to find out who we are, we got to ask the British. That's what you're saying. So, but the British didn't just do it for fun, They had their own point of view and their own agenda. So what do you think of this whole issue of vulnerability? Are people very innocent, very naive, very honest, bright young people, following certain patterns? Like in some of the talks, I question about the use of Aryan, then the person said, we just said it because it is written like that. I was even troubled by the term tribal, because tribal is not our term. We have jatis, they have communities, and there is no reason why somebody is a tribe. It's a European concept of people they could not civilize. So the people they were able to conquer and control, bring them into their framework, were not tribes, but the people who resisted the Europeanization, the European hegemony and influence, were labeled tribes. So in Pakistan they have these northwest tribes, in Madhya Pradesh they have all these tribes. These are people who just did not want to have anything to do with the European lifestyle. So we also internalized it, started calling them tribes, and we're looking for certain behavior which we call primitive and so on. And we call it uncivilized. I saw that term also, not you but another scholar, that this is uncivilized and we became civilized. So civilization meant European lifestyle and European views is civilization. So now we are talking about these other artifacts. You see, when you have a lot of data points, there are many ways of connecting the data points. Many ways of connecting data points. So which point of view is biased, which point of view is privileged, what you're looking for, determines to some extent the conclusion you reach.
Right.
So I want your opinion on this.
Right, true, sir. Sir, thank you very much, sir. First of all, I would like to clarify that still in Northeast, we do not call it tribes. We use indigenous community or ethnic groups, sir. Yeah. And second thing is that we are not trying to give any conclusion based on what Mills and Hutton did. We want to recheck it, whatever they have said. So, and secondly, thirdly, this one is the first exploration to verify whatever Mills and Hutton said actually exists or not. So our fieldwork says that it exists. So our second step is now we want to collaborate with scientific institutions to collect DNA around, and then other, if we find some iron, etc., to do scientific examination, to give our own conclusions or theories, then seconding whatever Britishers or somebody else says. And regarding, sir, your last one, after field work, I have written a letter to the ASI that these sites need to be protected. Whatever is that, they are unique to India, because nowhere in India would we have stone jars, only in North Kashmir. This is 2 months now, I have not got any reply for them. So I'm waiting for 1 more month. If they're not replying, then I have to write them again.
Can I ask you a question, sir? Excellent presentation, I should say.
Thank you, madam.
Because it's all original work, and you are also trying to correlate things. In Southeast Asia, a number of excavations have been conducted over a few decades. I would suggest you should go into those excavation reports and see how much data you have for which can be correlated with this one. My question was about two things, about the beads and the symbols. They are also important for correlation. And normally we had been thinking that things associated with the last rites, they are not to be reused. But here you have shown that they are still being worn by people. And if it was meant to keep bones, how come there are so many beads in it? Was it part of the last rites? It was being kept with the beads, and those symbols are very, very interesting. I think it should provide the real clue.
True. So, madam, regarding your first questions, I am in touch with Ms. Julie, who is also working in Laos and Korea regarding this. So we are communicating to know the similarity and dissimilarity regarding our work and her work. And second, regarding the beads, these were actually offering with the bones. If you see, go to the present community of Northeast, mainly the Khasis and Nagas, though if they recover those bones after 1 year also, when they will redeposit in a jar or somewhere else, they offer again some kind of ornaments. So these beads were probably as an offering. And second thing, the reuse from the funerary remain, because most probably, and main reason is that probably, these people who are reusing, they do not have any sentiment with these jars. So that is why probably they are using those material. Thank you.